listeners will note, but new listeners can simply go into the archives of our podcast up at Infowars.com or go to YouTube or PrisonPlanet.tv, that I've been telling you in the last few years that things are just going to accelerate. They're going to get crazier and crazier with technological development, with economic crises, but also with amazing opportunities for liberty. And that we're going to see wars and rumors of wars. And now think about the amount of crazy news a day. It's more than we would see in a year a decade ago. And if you study history and project in with future trends, moving towards what the establishment calls the singularity, you will see more change in a week in, say, a decade from now than we've already seen in the last 10 years. And so it's all just going to get more and more insane. North Korea to launch missile tomorrow after warning foreigners to evacuate the South. Unprecedented to say, we're going to attack you. There's going to be explosions in South Korea, Japan, and the West Coast, and Austin. He has atomic weapons. Our government helped give it to his father in the mid-90s with ABB and Donald Rumsfeld. And it's just unprecedented. Absolutely unprecedented, the things that are going on in our world. Meanwhile, up on Infowars.com, Big Sis testing drones that can detect guns in America. We showed some of their training videos a month ago, and people said, oh, it can't be true. Now they officially are preparing with Homeland Security drones to fly around and detect American gun owners. And they've got a local Oklahoma news channel telling you, don't worry, we come in peace. Don't run, we are your friends. You know how that ends in Mars attacks or at Waco. Continuing, Obama demands vote on Second Amendment during Hartford's speech. And I've got Nemo doing another article right now. Obama has been caught in a gigantic, humongous lie, saying that 90% of people support more gun control when there is no poll showing that. Even the fake CBS polls and Gallup polls and public policy polls and stuff show 50% or less. In fact, here's some of the headlines. NPR, The Hill, you name it. Polls, support for new gun control drops by double-digit margins. Here's another one. NRA winning the influence battle over gun control. Forbes, with the actual data mining, it shows it's backfired on them, the opposite of actually getting people on board. What a spectacle, Obama using those dead kids and rolling out the parents, saying, America, it's your fault this happened. Restrict your guns. No, parents, you took your children to a government training center, advertised as a mass shooting facility, and you're the ones, globalists and supporters of it, that are supporting all the mentally ill people on the psychotropics. In almost every case, they're on them. And then you want to point at me in my life with no criminal record in areas with crime rates incredibly low compared to areas where they've restricted guns and lecture me with a bunch of guilt that I better get on with your agenda or I'm a bad person. It's like, go along with socialist health care or you're a racist. Well, I'm a racist then. You got to call the bluff of the politically correct people because they're not really politically correct. They're not really liberals. They're cold-bloodedly using these tragedies and using these poor parents. So, obviously, it should be back on the government. Why have you made schools gun-free zones? Because bad guys are going to bring guns wherever they want anyways. Why haven't you armed the teachers? Why haven't you? No. Instead, you want all of us disarmed to make the whole country a gun-free zone so the criminal government and the mercenaries and your criminal friends can rape and pillage and rob us. Well, I got news for you, you collectivist dirtbags. Our kids belong to us. Our guns belong to us. We see who you are, you tyrants. Go ahead and stage your terror attacks and try to blame it on us. We know you're the terrorist scumbags, okay?
I'm Darren McBreen, and these are some of the new items that are available now at InfoWarsShop.com.
Alert the public to Obama's blatant abuse of power with the new Obama t-shirt. Obama's Joker face on the front and come and take it on the back. It's time to publicly call him out for what he is, a tyrant. Defend the Second Amendment with our top seller Come and Take It t-shirts. And look at that, women's cut tank tops and t-shirts now available. Nice hat. Plus, the Don't Tread on Me flag. And now you can become a micro-distributor of the InfoWars magazine. Plus, get your own copy delivered right to your door each and every month. And if you're tired like I am of you and your family being exposed to polluted drinking water, get the Pro One high-performance water filter. It gets rid of all pathogenic bacteria, cyst, fluoride, heavy metals, and numerous other contaminants.
So join the revolution at InfoWarsShop.com.
You know where you got to go now if you want to escape the incredible tyranny of the United States? You got to flee to Cuba. They've got surveillance footage from the dock in Tampa, Florida, where they believe Michael Haken and his wife with their 2 children that they kidnapped. Why he's supposedly the Air Force veteran, engineer, his wife an engineer, no criminal record, got caught with a bowl of marijuana in Louisiana, so they took his kids, and a year later he was tired of it, so he went and got them back. And I was just watching CNN. They're all breathless. He ran to Cuba with the kidnapped children, and they're all got real serious faces. There's nothing worse than a family. Now, if you drone strike a whole village to kill one guy, that's peace prize. But I'm telling you, a dad and a mother standing up to the state with their kids, I mean, there is nothing worse. And the reporters just all looked extremely freaked out on CNN during the break right before we went live here. They were, this is just terrible. These anti-government people are despicable. Why, they don't believe the state owns the children, and they don't believe we should be able to put hundreds of vaccines in them, and they don't like America being run by a foreign New World Order. And worst of all, they had an InfoWars.com bumper sticker on their house. It is just absolutely horrible. In fact, I think they have a clip of it here in a moment for TV viewers that are watching us on PrisonPlanet.tv. When it cuts the reporters, they just have this look on their face like it is just the end of the world. All right, moving along here, ladies and gentlemen. Again, kids abducted in Florida, custody case taken to Cuba. So there you go. A Florida couple suspected of kidnapping their 2 sons from the woman's parents in Tampa have fled by boat to Cuba, according to Florida authorities, not servants. The boys have been living since last year with their maternal grandparents, who were granted permanent custody a week ago. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office alleges that Michael Haken, and it goes on from there. Oh, my gosh. Can you imagine that they've gone to Cuba, who has no extradition? Well, and he reportedly bought a boat, planned the whole thing. Nothing more despicable than a family and a father. Only thing, the state is your father. The state, when it was Stalin or Hitler, it's your father. And I agree with MSNBC. There is no private children. They belong to the state, and we've got a FEMA Corps, and we've got clergy response teams, state-run churches. That's a great sign of a free country. That doesn't violate the First Amendment. Of course it does. Just incredible to have that type of stuff going on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into Obama pimping out the dead children of Connecticut, saying, hey, do this for the families, restrict your guns. And this is what 90% of Americans want, a total and complete lie. We're going to break that down here in just a moment. And I was driving home last night at about 8 o'clock. At about 8 o'clock, listening to MSNBC, no, it was CNBC on XM, monitoring globalist propaganda. And I was listening, and they said, coming up next, the president in Newtown, Connecticut, and then flying the families back for a rally in D.C. But what did the pro-gun people do? They snub the parents. And the commentator goes, oh, come on, you didn't do that. And then they cut to Obama. I mean, just unbelievable. Foreign banks have captured the federal government, most of the states. They're taking $85 billion a month of your taxpayer money and giving it to foreign banks and telling Congress who gets it specifically is secret. They are erecting all sorts of police state systems, FEMA camps, the Emergency Centers Establishment Act, the Civilian Inmate Labor Camp Program. These are all declassified. They are training Fox News, headline, Christians listed as extremists next to Al-Qaeda. Catholics, Evangelicals. What's wrong with evangelicals? They've called for turning our guns in, and they were in the news today saying total amnesty, total open borders. Well, that isn't enough. You are a terrorist. I mean, this is the over-the-top stuff. Imagine people had gotten a time machine from the 1950s and teleported here and turned on MSNBC where they're saying, fathers are bad, the state runs your children, 5-year-olds need to be taught how to masturbate in school, the borders need to be open, it's your fault somebody went to a gun-free zone and killed people, we're bringing in world government, there are no drones, but we're launching drones. I mean, this is the type of craziness. We have an article up at Infowars.com right now. Look at these headlines. Big sis testing drones that can detect guns. Big sis testing drones that can detect guns. And this is officially Homeland Security with a training center in Oklahoma with the Department of Defense training to detect guns. And it's part of the Governor's Council there in the state to launch these vehicles. Obama demands vote on Second Amendment during Hartford speech. Police confiscate man's guns over son's water pistol threat. Reportedly, bullies were beating up the kids, so they joked around and said, we ought to get our water guns and squirt them. So the dad had his guns taken because his 10-year-old allegedly said that. No judge, no jury, no nothing. The guns are locked up in a safe. It's up there in Long Island. But that wasn't enough. And the police, the father said, when do I get my guns back? He goes, well, your son's 10. When he's 18, if we come to a home inspection and prove he's moved out, but he's not allowed in your house either, then you can have your guns back. No judge, no jury, no warrant, no nothing, just martial law. And that's what Knock and Talk's been under federal grants for 15 years. From Dallas, Texas to Boston, Massachusetts, the police come to your house and say, knock, knock, in nice neighborhoods, by the way, because they can do it there, they can do it anywhere. We'd like to come in and inspect your firearms. And I've played newscast here in Boston where they actually force their way in without warrants, just door to door. And that's what gun buybacks are for, the image on the news of people handing guns in. It's all part of the conditioning and all the Hollywood movies where they show, oh, my gosh, this guy's got a gun in his house. You know, the cops break into the house without a warrant because they got to save the kids. They find little kids, you know, dead in the basement. Look at this guy. He's an NRA member. There's nothing worse than those scum. They'll show an NRA sticker on the wall. That's an actual TV show I covered years ago. And they'll go, yeah, it's just despicable. He's got illegal guns. And it'll show a shotgun, which isn't even illegal except in New York or Chicago, in the cities. But again, it's just put out there, guns are illegal. Guns are illegal. It's like guns are the new N-word or something. This is all part of the political correctness. Yeah, there it is. Washington gun bill includes police searches without warrants. Boom. Seattle Post-Intelligencer reported on that a few weeks ago. They're not playing games. They're not playing games. And then, of course, the big news of the day, ladies and gentlemen, North Korea to launch a missile tomorrow after warning foreigners to evacuate the South. I want to comment on this at the bottom of the hour. But right now, let's start analyzing the incredible lies of Obama flying the Newtown families around. And on every news channel, you've heard it, you've seen it, if you care about the families, let's have sensible, reasonable gun registration, confiscation, and make most gun owners felons. I mean, that's what it really does. But this is something 90% of people support. Just give us a vote. Just do the right thing. And then Obama tears up, and the BBC headline is, it gets personal for president because he cares about the kids. Yeah, he signs drone death orders where they'll kill hundreds of innocent people to, quote, get one bad guy. Or they'll put al-Qaeda in Libya or Syria to murder the Christians en masse, our government. And then, but the Newtown kids, they take them, put them in our face, tell us their names, who they were. I heard an ad this morning on the radio, Bloomberg paid for locally, going, I dropped Billy off and watched him go around the corner. And he never came back, all because of the guns. Won't you just turn your guns in for my son? Why'd you do it to him, gun owners? Well, listen, I didn't kill your kids. The federal government made the schools gun-free zones. You advertised them as the place for every crazy to go. And I'll tell you right now, it's open and shut. It's a government operation at the movie theater. No doubt. DARPA involved, all of it. Guy was on 7 drugs, total patsy. Witnesses saying he was under mind control when he came off the drugs. Now they've drugged him for court to make him tell the truth that he did it. Truth serum just makes you say what they want you to say. They could put me on it and roll me out and say I'm Puff the Magic Dragon that lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Bumblebee. I mean, this is the type of stuff they're doing. And I'm going to tell you, New Haven, Sandy Hook, it's got inside job written all over it. You look at Harris and Kleinbold and all of these events. I mean, the parents are always working for DARPA. The kids are always on psychotropics. The kids are always making films for the school, how they're going to kill everybody. So you can arrest people or kick them out of school with bubble guns or paintballs. And every day I see articles where people drive by and see kids with orange and green Nerf guns out front their houses having a Nerf war, and the SWAT team's called. And they do it on purpose to create the image to literally brainwash the public that guns are dirty, guns are bad. This is pure authoritarianism. And by the way, it's bipartisan. They're moving on gutting the borders. They're bringing in the government-run health care written by insurance companies to bankrupt health care and double prices. They are bankrupting the country. They've got tens of millions more going on food stamps. Over 101 million people are out of the workforce now. America is imploding into a depression. But because of industrialization, the government's going to have enough baubles to hand out to get the dependent people on the dole to then go vote to take our guns and take our property and take our free speech and take our children. Just have an attention span out there. If the globalists are able to take over, those of you that support this and feel like you're part of the system, useful idiot fools, remember why your life falls apart. Ladies and gentlemen, this is part of a globalist offensive. They're moving on all fronts. That's why they've got the Catholic Church, the Protestant churches saying, turn your guns in. Everything's happening now.
Prepare yourself for a talk radio experience like no other.
Strap yourselves in and hold on.
He stands for truth. He stands for justice. He stands for what's right. This is the Alex Jones Show. Now live from Austin, Texas, here's Alex Jones.
All right, so Obama quotes some university poll, government-funded poll, that no other polls show that 90% of people support, quote, background checks that are really registration for confiscation. Criminals go out and get their guns regardless. Mentally ill people are just going to steal them like Adam Lanza did, if you even believe he's not a total patsy. And so this argument of, oh, we just want sensible control. You mean a total ban like New York or Chicago, unless you're inside the mafia and then you get one of those special permits that hardly anybody can get? This is about a monopoly of power. What's the first thing a criminal does when they come in a bank? They say, put your hands up and put any weapons you've got on the floor. I'm not playing around. I'll blow your head off. Well, what do they say? Turn your guns in or killers will blow your head off. There's killers everywhere. They're going to come kill everybody at your schools that we made gun-free zones. Nobody points out the elephant in the room. The government did this. They put people on the psychotropics. They created the zombie society. They pushed it, and they advertise. In fact, I can't believe there haven't been more real school shootings after them hyping this like it's the end of the world. They're using terrorism to hold us hostage. And so Obama gets up and says, hey, give us a vote. 90% want this, implying gun control. When the poll they did of university, minions, I mean, it's like all the ClimateGate garbage, was like, do you think we should keep guns out of the hands of criminals and have a universal background check? Oh, yes, I do. Polling people like the Democratic state rep who says we've got to ban clips because after you use them, you throw them away. They're only good to use once. You see, you've got the globalists that know they've got a public. You got two different publics. You've got a public that's awake and aware, and then you've got the public that literally are as dumb as the day is long, the most gullible, soft, stupid, pathetic, on the government dole. And I don't just mean welfare people. I mean all the government types. You know them. You've run into them. These people couldn't find their butts with both hands. And they are so pathetic, the code enforcers and all of them. They love to come and get in your face and dominate you. I've been around these people where they're getting off on getting in your space and getting off on trying to freak you out because they're pathetic, nobody, weak cowards. And it's pathetic that we let scum like this run our lives. And then meanwhile, they say, we've got to take your rights because of al-Qaeda when NATO runs al-Qaeda in Libya and Syria. It's all a giant hoax. And coming up, remember all the articles last year saying, oh, InfoWars is lying, DrudgeReport.com is lying, there's no domestic drones, when we had all the local articles, and now they're back doing it again, but they just tell their followers, there's no death panels, there's no 2 billion bullets, there's no drone sweetie pie. The clips, you throw those away after you use them. And the children were kidnapped by a bad man and a bad woman, their parents, and taken to run to Cuba. You got to run to Cuba. You got to run to another tyranny now. I don't think I guess they've already re-educated everybody in Cuba, so there's no need to take people from their parents. Or I guess Latin Americans won't put up with that. You know, that's why communism has never flown. It's been able to take over, but it never can kill millions of people. It can never totally set up the Chinese or Soviet-style tyranny because the Latin Americans love their kids too much and just won't let the state take them. I mean, they've got Stalinistic, youth brigades in North Korea and places, and they've got some youth brigades in Cuba. They've got some youth brigades under Chavez, but it never really gets super nasty where they're just taking good families' kids en masse. I guess that's kind of the Latin American thing, like Tony Montana. No women, no kids. But see, not Obama. He'll kill women and kids all day long using al-Qaeda. And then it's cute, and it's funny, and it's for the children. And to see this lying opportunist that works for foreign banks, who's bankrupting the country, $85 billion a month of foreign banks, butchering everything, shutting down our power plants, shutting down our factories, paying to ship General Motors to China, just shutting our country down. Hardcore agent of the globalist, and then up there with families going, it's for these families. 90% of us want it. Let us have a vote in the Senate. And let me tell you, they keep saying, we can't let this happen one more time. We can't let this happen one more time. We can't let this happen one more time. Every time there's a shooting, they'll go, see what you did not turning your guns in? And there's no logic of, oh, Chicago has the highest crime rate in the world and have taken the people's guns. There's never, why'd you make it a gun-free zone? It's always, you did it. You killed the kids. Bloomberg says, a guy that made billions of dollars out of the fraudulent derivatives market. It's just a total globalist New World Order up there saying what you're going to drink, what you're going to eat, what you're going to do, while the CPS of New York under him takes mainly black kids and tests drugs and pesticides on them till they die. I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com. This is pure authoritarianism where a father in Long Island, his 10-year-old reportedly was beat up by some older kids, so they joked about, hey, we ought to get water guns and squirt them. So the police came and interrogated everybody, and they said, yeah, we talked about having a water gun fight. And so they admit it's over a water gun, so they go back to the guy's house, the father, and they confiscate his firearms. No judge, no jury, no order, no nothing. just like they're now announcing they're already raiding federal pension funds. And they're going to raid all the local funds. And all these fools out there who work for the system, we're going to lose everything because you went along with this. And the general public as well. The main reason this is all happening is the general public is on party time. People want to work at their job. They want to go home and watch television and get drunk or take drugs or play video games all day. There's a mass narcissism upon the general population as well, where people are just very, very shallow and very, very scared. Now, there is a large portion of people across the political spectrum who are aware, who are upset, who are informed. And if you read a Homeland Security manual, none of it has to do, and they're all public. There was new ones out this week. None of it is about al-Qaeda. None of it is about Muslim extremists, which they set all this up on the auspices of. And I told you, I said, this is going to be for constitutionalists. This is going to be for anti-globalist, because this is a globalist takeover. I know who the globalists have always targeted. I know who stands in their way. They've ratified the UN treaty at the UN. Now they want the Senate to ratify it. And they're setting it up where, all right, there's one more school shooting. It's your fault. Oh, there was another school shooting. See, America wins enough. And that's why Bloomberg and Feinstein and Michael Moore have all said there'll be more shootings and we're going to get your guns. And they've also bragged, the head of the Violence Policy Center, hey, we've got your kids. They said this to me in the news, in a response in the local paper 13 years ago. They said, it doesn't matter what Mr. Jones does coming to all our rallies and bullhorning us. It doesn't matter what bribery he catches at the Capitol. It doesn't matter what he does. We've got your kids, was the quote. We've got your kids. We've got your kids. I mean, it's just creepy, off the chart. They want to destroy and break the human cycle forever and then make us literally slaves. That's what slavery is to break up the family. That's the heart of it, because they want your allegiance to them. They want to be in full control because they crave it. And they are using the poor, dead children. Here is Obama's speech yesterday, an excerpt of it, saying 90% support this legislation. And they use, no other poll shows it. Polls, support for new gun control drops by double-digit margins at Sandy Hook. A CBS poll, only 47% believe they should be stricter. And you know those are push polls. More like 25% is the numbers I've got. NPR ran a poll, showed the same numbers. But see, they don't care. They don't care. They sit there and they say 90% want this, and we're a democracy, and so it's time to turn in the guns. Well, we're not a democracy, and I get people that say, well, it's about the people. When we have foreign oligarchs, foreign megabanks running us, you can argue, well, let's be a democracy. Let's run things. No. You've got a dumbed-down mass of people that in emotional moments, they can say, hey, let's take all the guns, and if 51% vote for it, or the electronic voting machines say so, then all of the other 49% have got to turn their guns in. Under a democracy, you could say 51% say make all Native Americans report to be executed. And then they'd have to report to be executed because the majority said so. And even though we were a republic, we followed a democracy idea because you already had indentured servants and white slaves by another name, so why not have black slaves? So it's like, well, they're 2/3 human. So they don't get their rights of a republic. And plus, it's a democracy. No, under the republic and people reading the rules of the republic, Bill of Rights, Constitution, Declaration of Independence, the idea of the republic was then more and more fully expressed and used as a template of liberty worldwide. That's why it's run down. The Constitution and Bill of Rights haven't failed. We have failed to enforce it. We have failed to breathe life into it. And so Obama says, hey, we're a democracy. The majority of people want these measures passed, which he calls reasonable, which are arresting people with over 10-round mags, banning most semi-autos, registering all the other guns, and not letting you transfer guns to friends and family. I mean, they've taken the guns everywhere else they're in control. That needs to be the message. Everywhere you're in control, you use these arguments to register and then confiscate. And everywhere you're in control in America, you've totally taken the guns. Shut up, liars, and stop lying to me. And stop pinning those dead kids on me when you made it the gun-free zone and you advertised it for the place for your Prozac heads to go kill people. You shouldn't be. Hey, be reasonable. Don't blame me for that. Crimes dropped 49% because of gun ownership going up. Why are you blaming us? Man, you're stupid. They're not stupid. They're the most mechanized, organized, formed foreign banking cartel that's completely above the law and pays zero taxes and is shutting everything down in the West and transferring it to Europe. And then from Europe, they're transferring it over to Asia, and the people aren't even getting the benefits there. Mass suicides, forced abortions, suicide nets, mobile execution vans, hell on earth, race to the bottom that Ross Perot warned us about. There's going to be a giant sucking sound. The average American industrial worker is making about $30 an hour, Larry. Now, we've got lower wages than Canada, and we've lowered them. Mexico, the average industrial worker is about $1 an hour, Larry. You're going to see our wages within just a year after this is implemented go down to about $15, Larry. That's a cut of half, Larry. You can go watch the Ross Perot, Al Gore debates from CNN on YouTube. Last time I checked, they're up there. Both debates. And he's getting so mad. He's going, listen, this isn't about competitiveness. You cannot compete with no environmental standards and no regulations that are put on us. You will see the deindustrialization. And once studies show, Larry, be quiet, Gore, I'm trying to talk. This is my time. The studies show that once you lose an industrial base, it does not come back. And it's not going to raise up China and Mexico, Larry. It's going to lower them down as well. And Al Gore would go, oh, this is a good deal, Larry. and the media would laugh at Ross Perot. Ah! See, because they go after the sheeple where they'll put a laugh track, on the comedy shows. Let's laugh at Ross Perot. You're laughing now, aren't you? Let's laugh at people that warned you about government-run health care, how it would butcher the economy, shut down everything, double the rates, written by insurance companies. If you make people buy something, what's going to happen? They can raise the price stratospherically while debasing the quality of the product. That's why North Korea can't produce an automobile. I mean, this is 101 fact. I mean, this is like going into the doctor and they go, you've got lung cancer, and if we remove the polyp, you've got a 90% operability you're going to live, but that cancer within 6 months kills 99% of people that get it. Here's the name of it. You got to cut it out right now. And I'm here going, folks, we got to cut this out right now, right now, right now, right now. This isn't just socialists taking over. France has got a 75% tax rate across the board on anybody working, and now they've got a 75% tax rate on top of whatever you keep after that. So you got 25% left, and then 75% of 25. What? You keep 5%. Or is it even less than that? What's the math? 75% tax. I mean, and then it comes out that all the ruling class and the Rothschilds and all the elite aren't paying the taxes and are exempt, just like EU bureaucrats, and have Swiss bank accounts. Here's the headline. French politicians rush to reveal their assets. French president struggles in tax crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a mafia system that started in France. It's called the Jacobins, who were the Illuminati. If you want to know their goals, research the French Revolution. The overthrow of the family. Have you heard of this before? A 9-day work week, changing the seasons. They want to play God. They talk about trampling and being trampled, being the priest of power, ripping people's teeth out with pliers. Blood, death, murder, red terror, red terror, red terror, red terror, red terror, 1800, red terror. It didn't start with Lenin, another Jacobin. Red terror, red terror, red rum, red rum. Here's Johnny. You turn these people loose, ladies and gentlemen. This is not socialism. This is not communism. Those are all just names. This is authoritarian power tripism. This is mad dogs turned loose. Let's go to Obama, pimping the dead kids, pimping the... And there's some parents involved at Sandy Hook around who are saying they're pro-gun, but you'll never see them on the local news. They're on the local city council testifying. You'll see them up there with President Obama saying, you're to blame for what happened. Isn't that the collectivist model? Your kid talked about a water gun, your gun's turned in. That story's up on drudgereport.com on the left-hand side right now. Let's go ahead and go to the clip of Obama. Here he is last night.
There's only one thing that can stand in the way of change that just about everybody agrees on, and that's politics in Washington. You would think that with those numbers, Congress would rush to make this happen. That's what you would think.
Total treason, trying to overthrow our republic.
If our democracy is working the way it's supposed to,
we're a republic,
and 90% of the American people agree on something, in the wake of a tragedy, you'd think this would not be a heavy lift.
He spends $1 million a night in hotels.
And yet some folks back in Washington are already floating the idea that they may use political stunts to prevent votes.
These people are openly criminal.
Reforms.
You have to understand, they know they're criminal.
Think about that.
Remember Gibbs said he was supposed to lie about drones?
They're not just saying they'll vote no on ideas that almost all Americans support. They're saying they'll do everything they can to even prevent any votes on these provisions.
Yeah, sorry.
They're saying your opinion doesn't matter.
You get enough illegal aliens here to vote, take my gun?
That's not right.
Bill of Rights says you can't do it.
That is not right.
That is not right? The fact that you're a Peace Prize winner is not right. The fact that you signed the NDAA to secretly arrest us. The fact that you're buying 2 billion bullets. Look, it looks like Hitler or Mao Zedong up there. Let me tell you, he's got enough idiots, folks, he'll take over.
We need a vote.
Look at them all smiling. They hate gun owners. This isn't about dead kids. It's about their takeover, their collectivism. All those bureaucrats, all those federal workers.
Now,
the federal family. They're all going to have their future stolen, too.
I've also heard some in the Washington press suggest that what happens to gun violence legislation in Congress this week will either be a political victory or defeat for me.
Oh, he's so hurt.
Connecticut, this is not about me.
This is about overthrowing America.
This is not about politics.
This is about the UN treaty.
This is about doing the right thing for all the families who are here that have been torn apart by gun violence.
This is about eugenics.
It's about them and all the families going forward.
That's right.
So
if you don't do whatever he says, you're against the families.
That's what it's about. It's about the law enforcement officials putting their lives at risk.
Oh, let's hit pause.
That's what this is about.
Hit pause. Yeah. Back that up 10 seconds. It's about the families, and it's about the armed police and the collaborator police from all over the country traveling up there like ghouls to say, you turn your guns in or you're with the criminals. That's the quote of our local police chief. You go along with this initiative or you're with the criminals. You're with, you know what? I'm not with the criminals. Barack Obama's with the foreign banks that hijacked this country. And you're with them. And we see you, and we know who you are, and we know what you're doing. And we've already voted with hundreds of millions of guns bought the last 4 years. 70 million background checks the last 2 years. 70 million plus. We've already voted. You see the ammo all bought up. We've already voted. We know we've already voted. We're speaking out. We're not just bunkered down. We've prepared a defense, but we're on the offense. And we know you're on the offense with your world government. You can have the Southern Poverty Law Center and the ADL come out and say none of this exists. But you know what? The newest Army training manual of how to take on Christians, all Catholics are listed as terrorists, and evangelicals are listed as terrorists. They list them with Al-Qaeda, period. You people are the flaming weirdo authoritarians saying openly, your kids belong to the state. We're going to give your kids shots and abortions without asking you. Jocelyn Elders up there like a weirdo in those hearings where she starts shuffling back and forth going, it's good to do it, to teach the kindergartners how to do it. You help them reach down. Reach down. I mean, it's all about reaching down at the TSA. Let me tell you, you want to know how dangerous government is? The state police of Texas, the commandant, the head of the state police, and backed his regional boss when they defended in Dallas, pulling 2 women over with the same glove and going inside both of their orifices, 4 orifices of the 2 sisters with a filthy glove, cramming their hand into them. I'm sorry to talk like this in America. And the police came out and said, we do this all the time. This is what we do now. And the public flipped out, and people said, well, I'm going to have to resist that. And so they backed off, and the grand juries indicted them. You see, that's how tyranny works. You just start saying, yes, 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 yes. Oh, they're the authorities. Let's respect the authorities, like Obama just said. And the law enforcement professionals that have got their lives on the line every day. 49% drop in crime everywhere there's proliferation of guns. The most dangerous place in America for police is in Chicago, where you and your mafia run things, you mafia dirtbag. Go back to Obama.
Families going forward, so we can prevent this from happening again.
Yeah, your black ops probably did it, bud. We know they did it. Colorado.
Officials putting their lives at risk.
Oh, yeah.
That's what this is about.
Oh, yeah.
It's not about politics.
Always down the street eating a hamburger when everybody's getting shot up at the school, locked up, taught to curl up in a ball so you can get a higher death count.
This is not about politics.
Oh, no. It's not about politics. It's about what a weird, twisted CIA freak, Rockefeller front you've been since birth.
This is about these families, and families all across the country.
Who think that clips are disposable.
Let's make it a little harder for our kids to get gunned down.
Our kids to get gunned down.
When I said in my State of the Union address that these proposals deserve a vote, that families of Newtown and Aurora,
let me tell you, they had to get the guns now because they know we're rising, and so they're putting everything they've got. Folks, this is the full enemy. This is the Battle of the Bulge. They're launching their Nazi counteroffensive because we're kicking their butt. That's enough. Get that traitor off there. Get him off there. That's not our president. That's a foreign New World Order collaborator, Vichy French agent. Is it not, my king, time to spring the trap?
No, we must desecrate the soul and the flesh of the Creator's creation. The chain of life broken forever. A monument to our beauty.
And I know that I am ranting and raving about the unprecedented mega tyranny that our society is going under. And it's because, again, it's not a boss hog takeover. It's not just some corrupt guys that want to run things and be in charge and steal a bunch of money. It's global empire by a eugenicist death cult whose propaganda is everywhere. I saw a Costco magazine last night. It's like 80 pages thick for Costco customers, and it was Bill and Melinda Gates chairman on the front and all how much he loves people. And I looked him up. He's on the board of Costco, bringing everything in from China. And the whole magazine was like anti-human eugenics, but how much they love the kids and how they want to give them the shots. And then you look at the whole background of that. Everything they're doing is the opposite of what they say they're doing. And I just thought about the gullible public reading this and believing it, how childlike they are. How they have absolutely no idea what's coming down on them. We've got a family coming on, the former founding lead singer of Anthrax, and he and his wife are very well known, been speaking out against what autism is, what the shots have done with autism. That's going to be coming up later in the next hour. And we're going to get into a whole other area of news as well. Big Sis testing drones that can detect guns. We're going to get into that. They're running new ads with the Newtown people saying that, hey, we need to restrict the Second Amendment for our children. We're going to be getting into all of that information. And we're also going to be breaking down the incredible North Korea developments. North Korea to launch missile tomorrow after warning foreigners to evacuate the South. That is just unprecedented, and saying prepare for big explosions. You know, we're aiming missiles at you, prepare for explosions. That's an open threat. And again, it's some whacked out, crazy government on a power trip that's angry that a country south of it had more freedom and so is the fastest growing country in the world and has seen the biggest increase in wealth. But see, we're not going in the direction of South Korea. We're going in the direction of North Korea, all because we let a bunch of freaks boss us around. I'm so sick of it. Man, I was out there during the break looking at official FEMA photos of their FEMA Corps youth in black uniforms and camo uniforms, just totally being brainwashed with hardcore Marxism. But again, it's mega banks that use Marxism. They're above it globally. It's just incredible. It makes me physically ill. And to know that we can't ever beat this because the Republicans are controlled by the same people until we fully take the states, the counties, the cities back. And that's why Homeland Security is set up to go after the states. Again, Homeland Security is a foreign occupation arm. There's no debating that. And then here is Obama pimping out the dead children and using the parents to collectively say, you know, restrict your guns. There can't be another one of these shootings like it's our fault when the government made it the victim disarmament zone. Here's that clip.
We dropped Jesse off in the morning, December 14th. They gave me a hug and a kiss, said, I love you, Dad, and I love Mom, too.
Our daughter, Grace, was 7 years old. She couldn't wait to go to school. She would skip down the driveway.
My sister loved teaching at Sandy Hook. Every student would say, I hope I get Miss Soto next year.
But America had a Second Amendment.
And she
Bad America.
I got a 911 call that there was a shooting at Sandy Hook
probably run by the
Elementary
government.
School.
We need to remember the 26 victims who lost their lives.
She just wanted to teach little kids. And that was
See how they
goal.
personalize these kids, but not the hundreds they kill every week with drones?
That was the last I ever saw Jesse alive.
So cold-blooded, so over the top,
from having to go through
so incredible. While the government arms itself to the teeth against the American people.
The memory of Newtown fade without doing something real.
Demand action now.
Man, I got to tell you, the way the people talk, they have been totally coached. Remember Peter Parker, where he's sitting there and he's going, yeah, yeah, I'll do a great job. Oh, camera's on. I'm sorry, sir. I didn't send my kid to a victim disarmament zone. Stop blaming me for what the federal government did, making it a gun-free zone. I mean, you're not going to see Bloomberg ads about, you know, please, the bomb dropped on our village. It killed over 100 people and blew the legs off my children. Here's my daughter. Oh, no, it's all just like, don't let Newtown happen without you turning in your guns. Because you did it, America. You need to be like Chicago, highest crime rate in the world, where these mobsters run everything. We're on the radio there, 1530. A lot of great people in Chicago. Let me tell you, the criminals in the government, they know to go after the people. Meanwhile, we've gone from 1 in 25,000 having autism 30 years ago to 1 in 50-something. And it says on the insert it can kill your kid. And when your kid has a convulsion and dies, they're going to put you in jail. But there's not going to be Bloomberg with ads going, I took my son in for a second round of shots. He took the shots. He had convulsions in the car on the way home and then died that night at the hospital. Please warn everybody about what's in the vaccines. Something's going on. We've got to warn people. Millions of American children are damaged. Thousands die every year. There's the Vaccine Damage Fund where they cover all this up. Something's going on. We've got to warn people. Oh, no, 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 no. They want our guns so they can take our children, as they've said, the state. Our children belong to the state so they can pincushion them full of all their eugenic shots. Again, Bloomberg's been mayor while they keep doing chemical and medical testing on kids in New York. Not going to hear a word about that. No, Bloomberg says you should have to take shots mandatorily without being able to. And they lie to everybody and say it's the law to take shots. Stop being ignorant. And you watch the newscasters. When they talk about liberty, they make frowny faces. But when they talk about tyranny, they smile. Yeah, the government's running checkpoints this week. Next up, parents have been saying no to shots. Oh, look at that filth. Yeah, and gun owners won't turn their guns in. They want their kids to die. Yeah, nothing that filth won't do. Coming up next, there's a new shot out, a meningitis shot. Of course, we're not going to tell you it kills a lot of people. Never mind that insert. There's absolutely no side effects. Of course, we're lying to you. Everything's fine. No, don't get angry about it. Don't struggle. Don't get upset like Alex Jones. We have seen incredibly unprecedented fear-mongering, using the crisis of 20 dead children at Sandy Hook to openly say, you turn in your guns to us or the next shooting is your fault. When gun proliferation has made crime drop by 49% in violent crime, FBI statistics, public information, countless articles written about it, and then they're lecturing us. These are collectivists. See, collectivism should be called slavery. Because then, oh, your kid talks about a water gun at school, your dad loses his guns. That story's up at drudgereport.com on the left-hand side. It's an Infowars.com story, prisonplanet.com story. You've got to have national compulsory service. Paying taxes isn't enough. You've got to go work every weekend so the lazy government people can lay around. That's all being promoted by the White House. And again, it's because it's what the offshore social engineer megabanks want. They want authoritarianism. That's their goal, so they can get $85 million a month of your taxpayer money paid to offshore banks by the Federal Reserve so that Biden can spend $555,000 a night in a hotel when he goes on a trip, taxpayer paid for. With Obama, it's over $1 million a night. So Prince Charles can have over 100 palaces, 20-something aircraft, and then lecture pensioners in England on not taking a hot bath or shower for their carbon footprint. It is the ultimate in hypocrisy while they have bodyguards saying we can't protect ourselves. And meanwhile, another dirtbag government, North Korea to launch missiles tomorrow after warning foreigners to evacuate south. You know, the Founding Fathers said keep government small or it will enslave you. Government's a dangerous servant, fearful master like fire. Yeah, look at this. They can't even build an automobile, but they've got over 10,000 artillery pieces aimed at Seoul 30 miles away, threatening to blow it up tomorrow. They're loading A-bombs on top missiles, saying they'll nuke South Korea, Japan. They've got to actually worry. Or the West Coast. Again, what's the threat? Government. What killed 262 million people, non-military related, 20th century? Government. What do I worry about? What did the founders worry about? Government. Government. Who wants to make vaccinations mandatory and has already given them to kids without parental consent in multiple states? Government. Government. Government, who takes 70+% of the French people's money and now wants more, but is exempt from it. And the whole ruling class government, it turns out, don't pay taxes and have Swiss bank accounts. Government. Because government is the tool that big financial mafia interests come to shut down their competition and get corporate welfare. That's why Bloomberg and all these foreign bankers want your guns and want unlimited funding and want to say we're a democracy. Because they can say, hey, we'll give you a one-time $1,000 check if you get behind voting to get rid of the middle class and take all their money that's only a couple $1 trillion and give it to the government. Okay, give me $1,000. Sell your birthright for $1,000, and then you give the $2 trillion to foreign banks, which is nothing. They could have made the $2 trillion up out of thin air with fractional reserve banking and XM, Export-Import Bank, SDRs, but they want to get rid of the middle class once and for all because the middle class is informed enough to have their own business. They're informed enough to know how the world works. They're informed enough to plant the crops and bring the crops in. They're real people. They're not slovenly little spoiled brat punk kids sent to college to get a globalist corporate job or some government job to then lecture to us how dumb we are all day. Let me tell you, I talk to the average so-called liberal out there, and they think gun magazines are disposable. They think that they don't know that gun crime's way down because of gun ownership going up. They don't know any of that. They don't know they're not liberals. They're authoritarian dupes. And the problem is the Republicans work for the very same people at the top, because this is a global government. This is a global system of control. I want to play this newscast because they've been denying that this exists. Even though it's in Wired Magazine, AP, Reuters, FAA funding a year ago to launch 30,000 drones. They're arresting people for environmental infractions, building a shed on their property they can't, with drones for years. Manned aircraft as well. And remember, they say Alex Jones is a liar. There are no drones. There are no weaponized drones. There are no police drones because they don't want you to get politically involved to say no. There are no bullets. There are no checkpoints. The TSA isn't sticking their hands down your pants, even though they are. Why do they lie even when they get caught? The White House press secretary told us why. Because then they could just put you in an Alice in Wonderland level where even though you know they're lying, you can't ever get anywhere because they just keep denying it. Because they're in control, because they stole everything. They're not going to have a debate with you because they can't. Oh, USA Today says disavow drone program, Gib. No, he was told to lie about something that was on record to exist. That's how dumb they think you are. So here is a Oklahoma newscast, short newscast, where Homeland Security and the governor's office are running drones that target people that have guns. And then we have the Homeland Security training video where it shows people selling someone a gun, American, redneck guys with camo hats out in the field. This is what Homeland Security's for, an authoritarian takeover. They've got it in place. They think they can take over. They'll probably stage some false flags to blame it on us. We're in a red level crisis. Here's that newscast.
According to the report, the testing is taking place here at the Oklahoma Training Center for Unmanned Systems operated by Oklahoma State University. The group doing the work is a, quote, trusted agent of the federal government.
It's advanced technology for sure. It's technology that we don't want any of our enemies to have.
Tony Strickland does not work for the center, but
that's psych warfare. We don't want our enemies to have. Our enemies took America over. They've got all our money building robot armies against us. And then they go, I'm going to play the rest of it the next hour after our guests leave. And then I'm going to get into just a bunch of other insane news. I've already played this with that Colorado Democrat, Diane Getty, saying, that clips are disposable. You can only use them once. That's why we've got to ban them. I mean, these people are just so out of control. And again, the kleptocrat criminals, they hate good people. They hate fathers, they hate families, they hate children. And that's why I have the White House science czar. I'll show it to you during the next segment if you're a TV viewer, radio listener, Eco Science, where they said we're going to use diet injections, injunctions to dumb you down. We're going to put stuff in your water. Now they've got hundreds of shots they want to give kids. And if your kid has a convulsion after the shot, which the insert says it can do, and has blood on the brain and dies, they're going to take you to jail. Ask yourselves, what are you doing in this time of great challenge? What are you doing to unlock minds?